Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. I'm your host, Boston, and
Uh-huh.
joining me as always is Moonpear.
Hi.
And we're here for 2010's Troll Hunter. Troll Hunter, all one word. The Norwegian
Yes.
film. Troll
Not
Hunter.
not Troll Hunters,
Correct.
which
Not
is the
2016's
animated
Troll
sci-fi
Hunters.
show.
Right. This is the 2010 Troll Hunter. I have not seen this before. Is this one that you have seen?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is one of those ones that so it's a Norwegian movie. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those ones that I'm pretty sure I watched it on Netflix. Way back in the day when you could still get discs from Netflix.
All right,
like
where you're like, this seems interesting. I'll use one of my disc credits for this.
Oh, I watched this on streaming because back then it was like $7 to do the streaming thing, which made me laugh.
Yeah.
And this was one of those ones where they started dipping their toes in bringing other nations' stuff to whatever nation you were in.
Right.
In my case, it was England at the time.
The foreign film section of your local Blockbuster would have
Exactly.
this in it. Right.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I can't even remember what I was watching at the time, but then I saw like the sneak peek trailer that they do when you're like highlighting it on the Netflix menu, and I was like, oh, okay.
You got me.
It's subtitled.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched the subtitle in a movie in a while, and it looks like it's pretty cool. And I was going through a found footage kick at that time. I'm pretty sure
Right.
that's also when I watched Chronicle.
Sure.
So sure, why not? Let's give this one a shot. And I came out of it redacted.
Okay. With feelings.
Yes, I
Right.
had feelings of a kind, we'll say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know too much about this. I would have to go back and listen to our Critical Misses Season 16 production meeting, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers.
To hear my first impressions on this, because I think the first time I've heard about it was in that production meeting. But I do like found footage movies quite a bit. And especially after our last one with VHS, I'm especially interested to see this kind of being VHS being a different take on kind of an anthology found footage thing, and this one being kind of another found footage movie, but one from a different country than I think we
Yeah,
usually
an
see.
entirely different culture, we should probably say as well.
Yeah.
So here is something I forgot. This is also a mockumentary, which I believe you have
Ooh.
a love for too.
I love mockumentaries so much, man. Yeah, I have a real soft spot for a lot of mockumentaries that are like kind of taking it seriously, but with half a wink and like tongue in cheek. I kind of like that approach of
because I know you are a fan of whatever the 10 up to 11 one is.
Oh yeah. As soon as you mention it, I'm not going to remember the name of it because my brain is bad, and that's how things work. And I'm filling space to try and remember the name of it, which
Spinal
is.
Tap.
Thank you. This is Spinal Tap. Yes, I'm. Yeah,
Yes.
I like this. Is Spinal Tap is very solid.
And I think you've also mentioned in passing at some point that you're a huge fan of Never Stop, Never Give Up, and Never Given Up, or whatever.
Yeah, I
it's called.
haven't watched that, but I'm fairly sure I will like it because it's in that same genre. I also really like Best in Show, which is another Christopher Guest movie. That's a really good like a dog show mockumentary movie.
I think this might be one of the only mockumentaries I've ever seen.
Okay, interesting. So found footage, semi-horror, mockumentary Norwegian film. It's got it all,
it's
baby.
The only mockumentary I've seen. This show, why not?
Interesting. Okay. And for anyone asking, I believe we have a mockumentary season in our spreadsheet.
At some point,
at the very least, we have a Christopher Guest season, if not an outright mockumentary season.
Yeah. I will have to bring this up during the production meeting as well. I was berated for not speaking to friends of the show, Justin and Rob, when it came to planning this season because it was a last minute left turn.
Right. As usually happens during our production meetings, we look at something and go, "Ooh, oh, ooh, all right, yeah."
Or in this case, let's look at the calendar and go, "Oh no,
it's October's right there. Oh no."
But yeah, so during the next production meeting, I have to fire text over and get recommendations for scary stuff for us. Apparently,
October comes around every year, so we got plenty of time to field more thematic suggestions for a spooky twofer. But yeah, I this is another one that I'm excited to watch because it's kind of a cool combo of things. It's definitely it seems on the surface. I listed all those adjectives a minute ago. Certainly nothing that I can say like, oh, it's another one of those Norwegian found footage documentaries. Am I right? The Marvel really just turning them out here. It's nothing like that. So I'm kind of curious to see something different here. Any final thoughts here for Troll Hunter before we get into it?
I'm excited. I genuinely am, because it's been a long time since I've seen this. I'm not even going to ask the normal question of, "Hey, Boston, who's the cast?"
No idea. Bunch of talented actors.
Hey, Boston, who's the director?
Great question. Love it.
So, let's just say there was a lot of apostrophes, that blended A and E thing.
The O with the line through it.
A lot of those too.
Yep.
Yeah, there's.
I will not insult an entire culture by trying to pronounce names because I will get it wrong.
Why I'm not pronouncing any of it?
Yeah,
because I will 100% get it wrong.
Yeah, it's.
Here is my question for you, actually.
Sure.
You can tell from the name, basically. Do we see actual trolls?
Oh man, that's always the question for found footage movies. Is like, do you just see like a leg and some teeth in the darkness and a blurry thing pass by the screen very fast? My hope is that we see that instead of the full thing, because I think if it's going to be scarier for me, it's just the small, quick glimpses of whatever horror is there in the darkness, the snow. I'm going to assume because it's in that area. But
it's a Scandinavian film, so there's a high likelihood of snow. Yes.
Yeah, snow and darkness is probably a pretty safe bet. I kind of hope we never really see the full thing, because I feel like most of the time when we see that in horror stuff, it isn't as scary as the unknown. I mean, how can you be scarier than the unknown? Maybe the deep ocean is scarier than the unknown because it's underwater and it's unknown. But
no, dude, that's literally why it's scary, is because the human mind kind of comprehends the monsters that live down there.
Right, the vast depth and unknowable horrors within.
The mind will also make up something that's so much scarier than actual reality.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So that's kind of my hope is, I think when you look at, I think both of us were kind of pleasantly surprised by VHS, especially with the first part of the anthology, where it's like, all right, you showed the thing and it was actually pretty cool. Like you did a neat thing. But I feel like that's the exception more than the rule for a lot of this stuff. So I'm hoping we see, something furry dashing through the snow in the darkness. One of my favorite effects, it's not an effect, dummy. One of my favorite things you can do in something like this is when there's a snowstorm happening in the middle of the night, and you get the camera's light reflecting off of the snow, but everything behind it is pitch black. I would like to see something dash through there. That would be on my wish list of the movie, but because that's terrifying. But yeah, I
what type of troll are we getting? Are we getting the one that lives under a little bridge and argues with goats? Are we getting Bilbos that are just above human size? Are we getting
I'm
the Norse, which are huge? Are we
yeah,
getting
I'm hoping we
the
don't get
little ones with the fluffy hair?
right. Yeah, the Trolls 3 movie is real, going real hardcore. I hope we see ones that are. I hope we don't see the really big ones, because I don't know. I'd be okay with it if it was the big ones.
So you don't want kaiju trolls.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with it, but I would like to see maybe something that's a little larger than human size. That sort of thing of like it's not bigger than us and it's still destroying us. That I think that is to me that's more interesting than I have Riddles 3. It's like get out of here. get back to the woods.
So you're probably looking for Bilbo ones.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no Justin Timberlake trolls.
I'm
That's
not
a different.
gonna.
It's a different
I'm
series.
doing my best to poke a face right here. Also,
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake isn't troll.
Oh yes, Trolls 1 and 2, the ones. He's
Oh.
Branch, the main male character. He does a great job.
You say that like I've seen trolls.
We have a brand new season for you. 2 Trolls movies are fine. I've watched them a lot because I have a kid, and they're fun.
We have kids movie seasons somewhere in that list. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure we have.
We can throw Romeo and Juliet on there too if you'd like.
That's right. That's right. A Trolls related season. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, now that we're deviating wildly, let's go watch the film.
Yep.
Welcome back. We're back. We have hunted the trolls.
Are you Christian Boston?
Well, I mean, let's not talk about the past here. I'm sweaty in general, which I shared with that guy. Man, where to start with Troll Hunter here? I have a lot of thoughts about this movie overall, but I really do like how it starts with this group of bear hunters sort of being like, I don't know, man, like when a bear just shows up dead in Norway, that's kind of a big deal. And I'm just like...
And like, only like 6 people are allowed to like hunt bears, and
Yeah.
I know all 6 of them.
I really liked that little detail of like, and I know all of them. And I was like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm kind of digging it so far. And they're like, that dude over there, full of it. And I was like, okay.
He's always around, around. But weirdly, he's not a bear hunter. Isn't that strange?
Yeah. So we are introduced to the filmmaking team here that are investigating the reports of the sort of suddenly appearing dead bears and a suspected bear poacher, which, as we just talked about...
let's face it, they're all a bunch of theater kids. Like,
100%.
That's what they are.
Yeah. But I do like that the movie in the first couple of minutes there really goes enough of a... It travels enough of a distance to sell why they're there in the first place and how they run into Hans. Because otherwise it'd be like, I don't know where to campground. Hey, who's this dude? And it's like, they sell it well enough, I think.
Yeah.
And we meet Hans, the very grumpy bear hunter who's not a bear hunter.
Who is smelly, apparently.
Yeah, who's smelly. His trailer has like furry things hung up in it. It's a mess. I really like that shot of them looking at his sort of his SUV there and those giant claw marks going down the side. I think that's a really good shot. I kind of like them figuring...
It's a lot of build. Like, I will give them credit where
it's a long build. Yeah.
It's a long build before you find out, spoiler alert, the trolls are real.
Yeah. But I
But
like that they
it's a while of them like
yeah.
following him from town to town, going from chalet to chalet as they basically just rent out camping sites next door to him.
Right.
Like it's a cool little sequence.
And I like that it gives us time to kind of meet the two main filmmaker people, the guy, the on-camera guy, who I like that
Uh-huh.
he's continually struggling with how to intro and kind of through like his presentation connect these different scenes. And we get to
Yeah.
meet the sound lady. And we don't see the camera
Thomas is
guy
the
that much.
on-screen guy, and Johanna is the sound lady.
Right. And we kind of don't see the camera guy that often, which I think
You only see him really like twice.
yeah. And I
We'll
think
get to
that
the second one eventually.
pays off pretty well later because you kind of forget that he's there. Like
Yes.
it's the camera, no big deal. We're talking the other three people are doing the on-screen stuff. I like that they are very poorly trailing him, like you said, from one place to another onto a ship. Like he's just like, come on, man, look, she's over there he's over there filming me.
They keep trying to talk to him. Like there's
Right.
no secrecy. There's nothing like that. It's
Hey,
like,
do you want to talk about
no,
bears? He's like, no,
like
go away.
we're from the students of Uvale or whatever, or Volda it was.
Mhm.
Like we're the students from there. And it's like, that was like 5 days ago in like 6 different towns over. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah, it's
Like-
really it's really good. But they eventually track him into a forest at night, and they see some
flashy lights.
some crazy flashy lights and hear some sort of inhuman roars, and then Hans sprints out of the forest screaming, "Trolls!" And they all of them correctly book it.
Book it. Yeah.
They get
as
out
fast
of there
as they possibly can.
Yeah. Thomas or Tomas, I'm going to mispronounce it. I'm sorry. Gets scratched / bitten. He seems to say bitten, but who really? He gets attacked. He gets assaulted.
Off camera, so you don't see it. You just
right. And most importantly, we don't see the troll in question
for a while
this time. Like it's very much Hans cooks it out of the forest. They smartly run, and they kind of get out of there, and they get out with in his SUV Land Rover sort of thing. And
I love the fact that isn't this where they're like he gives Thomas like the emergency first aid, which is basically cleaning it up.
Mm-hmm.
He gives him a shot.
Yeah. It gives him like some field medic shot of like, I don't know what's in there. Whatever.
It's the thing when you step on a nail that you're supposed to get a tetanus shot.
Oh, right.
He gives him a tetanus shot and then duct tapes his jacket back together, which is really cool.
I really like the duct tape. Yeah, I think that this happens at the same time they find that the camera crew's vehicle got turned over, like the tires are ripped off, the whole thing gets kind of messed up. And they finally get some time to talk to Hans and say like, hey man, you're probably not hunting bears. What's going on here? And he admits that he's hunting trolls. And
at which point there's like a mix of, I love the mix of disbelief and you're crazy kind of thing mixed with real belief.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Like,
trolls, man? Like from the fairy tales? Like those ones? Like the under the bridge
They
ones?
even make a joke about it at one point. Where like I can't even remember.
It's like what would happen if one of them challenges you to an eating contest? He's like, not all fairy tales are rooted in truth. Like very much like yeah, most of them are true, but not all of them.
Yeah, this is where he has that thing where he's like, "Yeah, look, I will take you. I will show you everything.
Right.
I will give you everything you need." Uh, and they're like, "Why are you doing it?" It's like, "Cause it's a horrible job.
I'm
I
tired.
I don't get paid enough. I don't get nighttime bonuses. I don't get
Right.
danger bonuses.
Right.
It's the worst job possibly imaginable,
Right.
and I'm done." And maybe, just maybe, if some people see this, then people after me will be better paid and better
Right.
compensated, kind of thing, for the work that they do. And then as he's about to get into the car at the first night, he's like, "Wait, hold on. Is anybody here Christian?"
And everyone's like, I'm sorry, what?
Mm-hmm.
The who, what now? And he's like, oh yeah, they can just smell the blood of a Christian man. No big deal. And they're like, no, none of us
Full
are.
form, man.
Yeah, like none of us are. We're fine. Don't even worry about it. We
Yep.
did forget to mention the text on the opening that I just remembered of like,
Oh yeah,
this production
these files were
studio,
delivered.
283 hours of footage was delivered. We sort of tried to figure out if they're real, and it would appear that this is real. So
Mm-hmm.
here you go,
Yeah.
which is pretty good.
I love that kind of thing, like the start of Cloverfield, where it's like, "Yo, there was something that happened. This SD card was recovered. This is all we could recover from it," kind of thing. Like,
Well, and
I
it
love a good like text scroll to explain away the BS.
and it also like something bad is going to happen at the very end, so you're just watching this real slow train crash, and the end isn't going to be like they went home and they're happy. Everybody got married. We had a big party. And it's like, no, they're not gonna make it, man. So they also get introduced to the troll stench, made from everything you can squeeze out of a troll, which is really good.
Which is probably the worst description I've ever heard in my life.
It's
Like,
so good.
imagine the phrase "everything you could squeeze out of a man." Like,
Right,
it's
and just like
everything that entails in your head. It's just
yikes.
gross.
Yeah. He shows them his like flash gun UV shotgun thing.
Camera tripod with what looks like a rocket launcher.
That's
on
right.
top.
Some pretty good,
Super low budget but believable stuff.
Yeah, it looks like this dude could have made this himself, because like we will quickly get sort of introduced to his group here, but through the rest of the stuff, it very much seems like, yeah, you don't have a budget. You're doing this in secret. You just sort of need to figure out how to clean up this troll problem we have in Norway.
Or any budget that you have is minimal.
Yeah, exactly. He says that the UV rays simulate sunlight, turns trolls to stone, or sometimes they just explode. No big deal. Which is a
Comes
great
into effect later.
Yeah, great little throwaway thing. On the hunt they go on next, they run into their first actual troll that they see.
Yeah, so they're looking for one type of troll. I wish I would have written down the name of the troll that they're looking for.
They're all very Norwegian names. I'm not even gonna try. I have them here, but it's like Tusalad. Yeah. Like that's the first.
That's the one that they find, which apparently is a much bigger and more aggressive one than he was expecting, which is like a river shade or something like that. Because he's like, oh yeah, it's just a harmless little troll.
It's a little guy.
And he comes sprinting out of the woods. He's like, no, it's not, run.
No, it's not. It's real bad. I think my only bummer about this movie is the CG for this troll. Again, this movie's in 2010. Yeah, this movie's in 2010. It did not have a super huge budget. I get it. But I feel like the very first one you show on camera, the rest of them look pretty good. Especially, they look better and better the further you get in the movie, I think. But this first one...
I think it's the night vision. In this case, I think it's the night vision that makes it stand out that much more.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that shot of the three-headed troll kind of coming through the trees, as it's sort of coming out of the trees, it looks okay, and then as soon as it you see it like full force, it's sort of like, yeah, okay, yeah. Um, but I think it's a neat design. I think the like whippy tail is always cool. Um,
Uh-huh.
and they he he manages to kind of get it in position and give it the old zippy zap with the sun gun and kind of turn it into stone. Um,
Yeah, after lots of chasing and sniffing,
right,
and everybody scattering to the wind like
right.
madmen, because honestly, I would too.
I think the thing that I like a lot about this movie is when they get into the forest or they're in that cave or they're in that house at the end,
Or
it's
the bridge.
or the bridge, it's quiet. Like it is
Uh-huh.
quiet as hell. We talked about, the terrifying unknown depths of the oceans, but equally as terrifying is a dark forest at night that's silent because
Uh-huh.
there's something there. And I like that they don't try to fill that silence with anything. It's just like, no, everybody's being quiet right now because there's a flippin' troll out there.
Yep.
We're not messing around. Um,
Yeah, and it does a good job as well because it always rebuilds the tension. Like this movie is very deliberately paced of troll encounter, conversations, plot building, troll
a little
encounter,
little bit of jokes,
conversations, plot building,
right?
troll encounter. Like it flips between them all, and the conversations are always about dealing with what just happened because we, the viewers, don't know. So we need an
Right.
explanation for exactly what's going on. And
Yeah.
I think it does a great job of like building the world, and then the second you go into another encounter, it's that tension immediately starts to build again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think it's whatever my feelings are on this movie. I think that stuff is really well done. Like they don't they it takes forever at the beginning to get to the thing, which I appreciate very much, like how I appreciated in the first Alien movie. It's like, yeah, there's something out there and you know it's coming. It's gonna be like
Mhm.
45 minutes before something really happens. Um,
Yeah,
and I kind of like that. Um, so this is the part when
we meet
Hans,
Finn, right?
yeah, when Hans is doing the cleanup, which is really great of him,
It's a
like breaking
jackhammer.
apart this giant stone troll with a jackhammer. Like it's really just like putting in time at the office. Brat, 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 brat. Like it's really good. He runs his Hans's boss Finn, who works for the TSS, the Troll Security Service, arrives on the scene to harass Hans, which seems to be from Hans a regular occurrence. Um,
Uh-huh.
and with a a
With a
team of
bear.
cleaners, yeah, the like mafia cleaners are here with a bear carcass and fake bear tracks, which
Uh-huh.
you'll remember at the beginning of the movie saying like, I don't think these tracks are fake. Like, come on, no one
Uh-huh.
can fake bear tracks since that dude walking on the stilts with the bear the bare feet.
Yep. That gets such a good reference later on. I absolutely adore that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get there. And I
Yeah.
do love the fact that this is like I think it's a Polish cleaning service, like a
Mm-hmm.
Polish laundry service.
Yep.
And they're literally dropping off a Siberian Russian bear.
Yeah, it's just like you guys are maybe not the best at, at doing this
We
job.
need a Norwegian bear, not
Right.
a Siberian bear.
So good. Um so we the Finn is harassing the filmmaker kids saying that you can't film this, you can't keep the tapes, people can't know about this stuff. And um this sort of turns into Hans getting interviewed over the course of what seems to be a couple of days as they're traveling to another location, about
Mhm.
like, what does the TSS do? What is Hans's job? Like he needs to keep trolls a secret. If they start coming towards populated areas, he needs to kill them to kind of discourage them from
Yeah,
hurting
and also
anybody.
keep people away from like troll zones, like where they've
Yes,
made their nests. Like,
exactly.
uh, I don't think it's this conversation. I think it happens much later. We get a heartbreaking
Yeah, that happens
story from
way
him.
later after the mines, I think, of
Hmm.
why Hans is really done doing this. But in this conversation, he mentions like there the trolls have been more aggressive and been leaving their territory more often than usual, which is uncommon and concerning. So, in probably one of the best physical gags in this movie, he says we need to get a troll blood sample to sort of run it and figure out why. And then Tomas holding up like the world's biggest syringe, being like, "Is this the
Is this the
syringe?"
syringe?
It's like a shotgun. It's really it's really good. Um,
Hmm.
so he said,
This is when we get the bridge troll, right?
right. This is the one that Hans says he wants to get the blood sample from. He wants to get it from a bridge troll and take it to a veterinarian, which is the best. He's just like, I'm
Hmm.
going to take it to a vet. Why? Duh. Like, just like,
Yeah.
okay, fair
What do
enough.
you think is
I
gonna
guess.
happen?
Yeah. Um, so he puts live goats on the bridge as bait.
Can we talk
Um,
about this? He puts three goats on the bridge.
uh-huh. 3 billy goats.
Uh-huh. It's a
Yeah.
really nice little because one
Mm-hmm.
goat isn't working, the second goat isn't working, and then he brings the third one out, and that one works.
Yep.
And like you said, this entire scene is them sitting really far away from the bridge, then they move closer, and
Mm-hmm.
the only thing you can hear in everything is the goats
Yeah, just
bleating on the bridge.
like, and you know there's going to be a moment where they're not anymore, and it's just you're holding your breath for when that happens. Um, this one's kind of interesting because um, I I think the reveal of his like knight outfit, his like protective troll outfit,
Yeah,
is pretty good.
his
Where even
homemade armor, essentially.
yeah, even the kids doing the filming are just like, really, man? Like you're gonna go there, and he's like, yeah, I got Christian blood. See you later. It's just like, oh god, okay, this is
Yeah, stay back. This is the blood of a Christian man. And it's just like a white Tupperware bucket
yep.
full of red stuff.
I do like the shot of him having poured that in the arm, coming over the side of the bridge and kind of slamming down a bunch, and he's trying to back up and get out of the way of it. I like that a lot. Um,
Hmm.
and man, that troll comes up and just grabs that dude and bites him like immediately
Yeah.
and crunches the helmet on his homemade suit. And immediately is displeased about the crunch and kind of tosses him down and leaves. Um, which thankfully Hans is okay and he has gotten some level of sample from that troll.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's when he gets annoyed and goes under the bridge.
oh, that's right. Um, yeah, it's pretty good. I like Hans a lot. He's
Because
pretty
he
great.
like you could tell like this actor does so much work with just like vocal expressions,
Yep.
especially in this sequence. Like you can tell he is so done with this S. Like
Hmm.
he just
He's
doesn't
burned out,
want to
man.
do anymore.
Yep.
Like capitalism, am I right?
Ah, that's right.
But like it's like, okay, you guys stay up here. I have to go under the bridge now.
Yep.
And they did rescue two of the goats as well, which I liked.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Um, the this is so
The
they
vet,
this is
right?
yeah, the next couple of shots are like they bring it to the vet who seems to be working for the TSS or is like under contract of like she knows the
Uh-huh.
secrets, she runs our tests. She says it's going to be a couple of days before they can figure out what the deal is. Um
Uh-huh. I do like the wink and the nod between the camera crew of like, well, clearly there's something going on here because you
mhm.
two get along way too well,
Yeah, and there's like a
considering.
hug in the hallway and they're like, huh? Look at this.
Uh-huh.
Look what's going on here. Um and it goes a little bit further here to kind of Hans is warming up to the crew the
Yeah,
longer
he's
they're
being more
spending time
open about
together.
everything.
Yeah, and like I like that they soften him up throughout the entire thing of just like he is a
I love him.
person.
I love him explaining the paperwork as well. Like showing them the paperwork. It's like, yep,
Yep.
what type of troll, how big it was, approximately how old, did it
Right.
turn to stone or did it explode? Like, these are
Right.
all the things I have to file.
Yep. It's really good. It's really good. Um, so this is
That's
where.
a little touch. That's a little touch that makes a world of difference for like
Mhm.
secret organized government organizations. Like, of course, there's going to be paperwork. There's
Yeah,
going to
there's
be reams
still a
of
ton of
paperwork.
bureaucracy, just still
Uh-huh.
filling out the paperwork. Um, this is where they're going to a farm where a bunch of trees have been uprooted, and I like the.
By a tornado, which he read
Yeah,
about in the local papers.
I I really love this scene and the scene where they go to the power station, where the camera crew is like, if they're like really challenging these people about like, hey, if this was a tornado, why are they all pushed the same direction? And the farmer's like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's just
Yeah,
like,
he's like, well, what else could have done it? It must have been a tornado.
right. It's just like, all right, fair enough. Um,
The power station one is the best one, though.
the power,
We'll get to that one, but
yeah,
that
I
is the
think that's
best one.
the next scene. Um, but this is where they find an abandoned. They sort of trace the tracks of a bunch of trolls to an abandoned mine. And Hans is confident that they're not here. Like there's a bunch of them that live here, but they're not here. We're totally safe.
Uh-huh.
Of course, they're not, because as they're leaving, a whole pack of them return.
And I
They,
love the design of these ones, like the black fur with the long snouts. Like
yep.
this is a really cool design. Like I like the design on all of the trolls,
Hmm.
but this one is just something creepy about just the black mess of fur
Yep.
and them all like being like 50, 60 of them, however many of them there is.
Right. And I'm sure there's something Norwegian, sort of historically or culturally, mythologically, like these might be one of the types of trolls you would see in like a fairy tale book. I'm not sure if
Oh,
they're like
100%.
checking the check marks of like, oh yeah, the three-headed one and the cave one and the big old guy. So I sort of got the impression throughout this that that was kind of the case. Um,
Yeah, it's like all different breeds and types, and you get the
mhm,
feeling it's literally from many different sources. Like I
mhm,
am aware of the three-headed troll, for
right,
example, and the under the bridge troll. I was
right.
not aware of like this type of cave troll, which he calls like mountain kings, I believe is what he nicknames them.
Yeah, something like that. They have a very long name otherwise with a lot of B's in it. Um, I like I like the unfolding dread of the cameraman continually rubbing the
Rubbing
troll
the
gunk on himself, and then
uh
admitting, "Yeah, I might be Christian.
we we
Sorry."
did miss the fart scene.
There is I like some of the stuff here because like you can clear that they're clearly just kind of waiting in here either for like nighttime to roll back around so the trolls leave, or everybody's asleep so that they can try to sneak out if they can. And the
Uh-huh.
like, I just fell asleep and I farted a huge troll fart is a pretty good like tension breaker for just a
Thomas
moment.
sells that. He
Uh-huh.
sells that so hard. Like
Just like
it's really
choking
good.
and gagging quietly. Like um so as the cameraman freaks out, he admits that he's Christian. Hans is like, "You better not start sweating," and then he starts praying and sweating at
He's
the same
already
time.
like drenched in
It's
sweat, like
right.
it's literally dripping off his face.
And the trolls are like, "Wait a minute, what's going on over there? Hey, that seems like a pretty good
Uh-huh.
deal." So they sprint out of there, and the cameraman is the only one that doesn't make it. He is caught and I'm assuming eaten before he can escape.
That's
And
what it
the
sounds like.
yeah, and the camera falls and the lens cracks, which is an effect I kind of like here throughout the next couple of scenes. Um,
Uh-huh.
of them just like getting back to the car and making sure the camera still works and uh, trying to go to the next place and finding another camera person, Malika. who
Which I love this moment where like
Mhm.
she's like, yeah, we're gonna go like record some beavers or something, right? And they're like, not exactly.
Yeah, not exactly. Anyways, are you Christian? She's like, I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry, I'm Muslim, and I like Hans is like, never thought about that. We'll see what happens. And everyone's like, all right, get in the car.
It's a,
It's real, and I really do like that switch between the broken camera with the broken camera lens, and then her brand new camera. It's like I like that it from like a storytelling perspective. It's a very clear switch of we're kind of in the next phase of this thing. Um,
yeah.
I so they start heading north to try and their next objective is to head north to find what's really happening. Hans is sort of assuming that it's the giant mountain troll, like the big guy.
Yeah. The
Um,
Jotnar. Which
yes.
I love the fact that like this set like I suppose something we kind of brushed over was like during the conversation sections, like he said he didn't want to go into certain zones and that he
Yeah.
didn't want to go into certain nests. And the reason why is, as we alluded to earlier, like he's got this heartbreaking story about like how he basically humans wanted to build a tunnel through like
Hmm.
a mountain and they all tried to dissuade them from it and they said no. And so literally he was sent in there to wipe out every single troll,
Yeah.
like males, females, kids, kill them all.
That's
We've got to build this
heartbreaking.
tunnel kind of thing.
Yeah.
His delivery on that scene is absolutely exquisite. Like
Hmm.
you could tell that he's like any form of park ranger who loves animals and stuff like that. He's just like, yeah, I had to do this because it's my job, and I hated every single second of it.
Yep. And it's like very clearly the moment that broke him of like, I need to be done with this. Like we're not we're not doing the right thing. We the best interests of Norwegians are not at heart. Like there's something isn't going right here and I don't like it. Um I think this is where they stop at the power station in this section here.
Yeah, because they want to check on the Jotnar nest, which they have
Right.
encircled with power cables, and
Yeah,
one of
and
those has broken. So they go to the power station to figure out what happened.
his concern is that if one of these trolls is running through like 300,000 volts or whatever of power, then something is really wrong here. We need to make sure that everything's okay. And there's the great moment of the main Tomas just being like, "Well, why are you running power like a power grid that just is in a circle? Like, don't you think that's
Yeah,
weird?"
where
And
does it go? Oh, it runs in a big circle. Why?
yeah, he's like, "Don't you
Um,
think that's weird?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do." Anyways, it's just like,
uh-huh.
okay, sure. Um, so that's a pretty good, which again pays off at the very very end of the movie. But um, they go all the way north and stay in this kind of shack in the middle of nowhere. Um, they there's an interesting scene of like, yeah, this dude just rampaged through this entire forest. Like acres and acres of trees have been knocked down. Like there's something very clearly really wrong with whatever this troll whatever this troll is obviously sick or injured or something. And I like that Hans is like, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to go up there. I don't want to face him because that's their giant, but we got to do
Because I
something.
like how they're like, yeah, he's one of this type of troll is the biggest and the oldest out there.
Yep.
Like in the very start of the movie, like he references the Jotnar and he's like, yeah, we don't go there. We
Yeah.
just don't go there.
Yeah. You just don't even mess with it. Like that's not even no one's that dumb to go do anything with these guys. Um so they eventually see the Yonar, which is really cool looking. This is
Mhm.
clearly like the showpiece of the movie. And seeing that thing kind of come out of the snow in the mountains super far off is a really cool shot. Um,
And you got what you wanted. You got the snow-filled
yep,
like
the thing coming out of the
scene with
snow,
the
like
uh-huh.
yep. And at the same time, while they're kind of like Hans had unveiled earlier the upgrade to his Land Rover of like the spikes all over the
Mm-hmm.
thing, like ramming spikes. And in this, he kind of takes the tarp off of the top and is fashioned a monstrous
It's a
spotlight.
Gears. It's the inspiration for the Gears of War level where they're
Yes,
shining the light on all the bats.
that's right. Taking out General Rom, you got the light
Mm-hmm.
here.
It's a
Um,
light turret. Like it's
yes,
ridiculous.
it's really pretty cool. Um, And while they're getting ready to attack it, Hans's phone goes off, and it's the vet who has discovered that the trolls are all infected with rabies, and that's why they're super upset. Tomas has the moment of like, "Oh, rabies! Wait a minute, I got bitten
Mm-hmm.
by one of. Do I have rabies?" And I like that his immediate reaction is, "Nope, dogs get rabies. What are you talking about?" And it's like,
Yep.
I feel like you're missing an important part about rabies being dangerous. Um, but you do you, Tomas. Um, they they go and they attack the. I kind of like this where Hans is drawing the troll away from the little shack because the troll looks like it's going to come attack the shack. I did not mean for that to rhyme. I'm sorry. Um, so he plays some like Christian music on the his speakers to get
It's so
the
good.
attention, and then blasts him a couple times with the, as you called it, a
I
UV
love those
turret.
shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like those shots are like the giant. Like it gives you an idea of the scale as well because this thing is huge, and
It
it's just this.
towers over this Land Rover.
Uh-huh. And like the light beam. It's something I always loved ever since I was a kid. Was being in a dark forest at night, turning on a flashlight and shining that thing into the sky, and
Yep,
then seeing the beam come off.
yep.
Like something I've always loved, and this shot is so good of that beam of light just coming out and hitting the troll, and it's just like, oh, wow, oh,
It's
it's kind of
real
rough.
big, and you're not doing nearly as much damage to this troll as maybe expected. Um,
Mhm.
I the chase scene here where they get into they get back in the Land Rover, they're driving away, they're trying to kind of get around and get in front of it. I will never get sick of movies having a car driving around a giant thing's tail and feet. Those were some really cool shots, especially the tail kind of pendulum swinging in front of the truck and almost hitting them. They pick up a
And it's that thing as
seismologist.
well that like that's the thing that like people don't understand is when something is that big moving at a normal speed, it
Hmm.
actually appears to be super slow because
Yeah,
visually just the size of it is slow,
yeah,
but it's actually moving real quick when you
yeah,
get close to it.
yeah. They pick up a seismologist out of nowhere for I have
Because
no
he's
idea why.
investigating the earthquakes that have happened.
Oh, that's
Because they do
right.
the news thing where
Yeah,
there's a bunch of microquakes.
yeah. It's like, yeah, there's hundreds of earthquakes that happened the other day. There, okay. That makes sense. And I was just like, why is there a dude out here? All right, I got that again. Um, and they kind of get in front of him. He gives him the old UV zip zap zip again, which stuns him, and he's kind of like the troll is now tired and stunned and roaring very loudly, and Hans
Hmm.
is like, all right, I'm gonna go give him the final blow here. I'm gonna go take him out. Um, you stay here. This road will take you back to the freeway. Adios. And
Yep.
goes and gives him the final shot, which immediately turns him into stone. And I really like that shot of the troll immediately just disintegrating. Just I think due to
Hmm.
its monstrous size. Um, I really like the shot that happens here where as
Him just
soon as he
walking
does that,
away.
he just walks. He continues walking in the direction he was walking in away from the group. And I like the shot of he just goes over that hill and then he's just gone. Um,
Yep.
I
Never
think
seen him
that's,
again.
yeah. And the group is like, okay, well, I guess we gotta leave and we need to, like, Tomas is bleeding all of a sudden from somewhere. Um, And he's like, no, I'm feeling okay. He does not look okay in the slightest.
Nope.
And then cresting over the hill is Finn and the cleaners, and
Uh-huh.
correctly they start booking it. um, and they get
Yep.
pretty far, and I also do really like that shot before they start running. They have these hard drives were so popular. The orange rubber hard drives that like a lot of people used for Macs, like those LaCie hard drives. They had two of those with all the footage. Really like that they used those hard drives because that's exactly the hard drives they would have used. Um,
Yep.
and they have the footage and everything, and Tomas is the last one with the camera, runs towards the freeway, and there's a truck coming at him, and then it cuts to black. And then
Yep.
the text on the screen says, that's where the footage ends. All of the teenagers disappeared. We never found the body in the caves. Clearly, Hans was never seen again. If you have any information on what happened, please let the production studio or the police know. And actually, the government never confirmed the existence of the trolls, except for one accidental time. And the Norwegian prime minister is giving like a press conference about the power grid and the power lines, and saying like, we know nobody wants the power lines, we hear you, but Norway has trolls, it's super important for us to put them back up. And I like that it pans over to Finn being there and be like, what, nope, nope, shush, shush,
Why,
shush, shush.
why would you say that?
That's right.
Like, huh?
And then credits.
Which is great. By the way, that's an actual press conference from the actual prime minister at the time.
Yep. They
Talking
like
about, I think,
spliced it.
oil field that they just sliced up, and then camera pans so that
yeah, it's pretty well done. And that's Troll Hunter. I am still not entirely sure how I feel about this movie. I don't love it. And it is unfortunate because I think we were watching it directly after VHS, which is a really great movie in nearly every regard. I think Troll Hunter is a really successful found footage film. I think it does such a good job of setting up the world, especially, like we said at the beginning of like, why are these dead bears showing up? Like, this should not be a thing that's happening. And it makes sense why these college students would be in the middle of nowhere with a camera and running into Hans and kind of taking a detour on their original plan. And I think the found footage shots they have here and how they put the movie together, I think it sells the whole thing really well. I think it's a really great way to shoot this movie and the way to tell this story. I think, as I said, that first troll, the three-headed one, the CG there is pretty rough.
It is rough.
Yeah, and I don't really hold that against it because it's 12 years old now and a small budget. But I think the rest of the CG is pretty good, especially the Jotnar at the very end. Like that thing looks really good.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting this to be a horror film, which I'm kind of glad because it really isn't. At least for me, I don't think it's scary. I think it's more.
It's tense. It's tense.
It has the tension. It has the mystery. That's the sort of stuff that I was hoping for, and I think we got it. I think overall it's good. I'm not sure if it's something I would like immediately recommend to someone, but I think if someone likes found footage movie, I think this is a cool example of the kind of genre, and something a neat way of doing it, and a neat way of kind of addressing and kind of bringing the fairy tales to life, which I think they succeeded with.
Oh
What?
yeah, I think like this is a very good telling of mod. I think this is a very good modern day fairy tale.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what are your kind of thoughts here after another viewing of Troll Hunter?
I still like it a lot. Like I'm
Hmm.
not gonna lie. Like I think considering what it's a 3.2 million budget, something like that. Like
Yep.
this is a shockingly well made movie. Like
Hmm.
I think it tells a story. It tells the story well. It introduces you to a variety of trolls, which I wasn't expecting the first time I saw it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
I think it like the thing it really succeeds in with me is two main things. It's the world building of trolls and human culture mingled in as one in modern day times. But for me, the best thing about this movie is the human side of it, specifically Hans. Like that
Yeah,
actor is so good throughout this entire movie. Like
he really is.
he goes from like sullen loner who's potentially illegally killing bears
Hmm.
to one of the most relatable heroes, like who's got the what probably the worst job you could ever have.
Yeah,
Like it's told so well, and he completely knocks it out the park. We totally forgot to mention that I do like the moments of comedy throughout the movie.
hmm,
And we forgot to mention the cross-legged bear walk after the bridge troll,
yep.
um,
That
which is
was really good.
hilarious.
Yep.
Um, but it just does such a good job throughout of telling it. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not the best movie ever made.
Sure.
There are definitely flaws in it, but at no point was I like nauseous through the steady cam or handy cam stuff where
Yeah,
it's
me
like,
neither. There was only one shot that I had trouble with where the camera was moving kind of up and to the right constantly, like it would swing up into the right and back to the left when I think someone was just walking, and that shot was hard for me. But otherwise, it wasn't really a
mhm.
problem. It was really well done.
Yeah, I
But
think it's shot well. I think the story is unique, at least
yes, for sure.
in like the amount of stuff we covered for the show. It's super unique.
Hmm.
But I overall, it's good. I wouldn't say it's perfect. It's definitely not perfect, but
Yeah,
I would be fine sitting down and watching this again at some point, especially
yeah.
as like a background thing. This is a hell of a background movie if you know if
Hmm.
you've seen it already.
IMDb has this here as a 6.9 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes has this at 82% on the tomato meter, 72% for audience score. I think I would be right there in like the 7 out of 10 range. Like this is a really solid movie. It's a cool thing. It's like you said, it's certainly not perfect, though I wasn't really expecting it to be. But it's
Yeah,
a well done movie with some flaws here and there. But like, yeah, it's good, solid.
yeah. Overall, I think it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah. Thankfully, we only have two movies to rank this time. What are your rankings here? I'm sort of assume we're going to be the same here, but I'll let you go.
Troll Hunter said to VHS one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. VHS is it's a movie I still think about here. However many weeks after we've watched it, especially that like Skype FaceTime sequence that I will stick with me for a really long time.
Uh-huh.
It's a very memorable movie in a lot of ways. And so is Troll Hunter, to be fair. Um, but man, VHS is really good. That's real. That's a hands down recommendation for pretty much anybody. Um,
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. Like, it was a
yeah,
good. How long was this movie? I've
an
forgotten
hour and
already.
44 minutes.
Oh boy, and it blows through that like
Yeah,
real
it
quick.
really didn't feel like it. I think, like you were saying, the pacing, the kind of like up and down kind of rhythm of the movie of a hunt and story and then hunt and story and kind of repeating that, I think really helped. Because you had the
Uh-huh.
like the ratcheting of tension up and up and up, and then something horrible happens and then it kind of the tension bleeds off. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. All right, and that's our spooky scary twofer, our found footage horror twofer here for October. If you're a patron, speaking of patrons, over at patreon.com/E1M1.
What's the numbers?
If you're a patron at the $5 tier or higher, in between seasons, we have our production meeting where Moon and I kind of go over our giant spreadsheet that is growing fast in a terrifying sort of way. We're adding seasons, we're coming up with themes, we're taking things off, we're kind of you get a real fly on the wall view of what goes on behind the scenes for us to produce the show and come up with seasons, and kind of hear us have hard discussions about what we should be covering and what we shouldn't be covering, and can we have an interesting conversation, or can we add anything to the discussion around X, Y, or Z movie, and why or why not. So, and do some psychic damage to each other with horrible / fantastic ideas for seasons. So
that is true. It's also probably worth mentioning that if you're a patron and get access to those production meetings, we do have a patron-specific channel on our Discord, so feel free to throw suggestions, things like that in there. If you can think of a good theme that we're missing completely, or you think of any other things, like we talked a lot about a specific type of thing this meeting. Right. If you can think of anything else that you might want us to cover, just hit us up in there. We'll throw it on the list, talk about it at the production meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. We love not only feedback, but we love everybody's help, because as we always say, you're the best community on the internet. So, you can help us make these shows better. So all of that, the production meeting is exclusive to the $5 or higher tier on Patreon over at patreon.com/E1M1.
Those ones are numbers.
And thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you next episode for season 17. Bye.
Bye.